Together, they started working on a new web browser. Within just 4 months, it captured 75% of the browser market. By the mid-90s, Netscape was ruling the web. But then, Microsoft entered the scene. Netscape decided to open source its browser code. By 2008, Netscape's journey officially came to an end. Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to explore the origin of JavaScript, cookies, and Firefox. 3 things that have had a massive impact on how we experience the web today. But before we dive in, here's a quick question for you. Why do we start every HTML document with the doctype declaration? The answer is, this declaration tells the browser to render the page using modern standards. Without this, browsers can slip into Quarks mode, which emulates the behavior of older web browsers like Netscape Navigator 4 and Internet Explorer 5. But this video wasn't really about Quarks mode or doctype declarations. It's about the browsers that shaped those early days, and in particular, one that played a massive role, Netscape. Many of us might not be familiar with it today, but Netscape was once the gateway to internet for millions of users. It introduced key web technologies like JavaScript, cookies, and frame sets. Even after it disappeared, its story didn't end there. Netscape eventually gave rise to Firefox, which brought us tools like MDN WebDocs and even the Rust programming language. In this video, we talk about the full journey of this browser, how it began, how it became the most popular way to browse the internet, why it lost the browser war, and how it eventually returned as Firefox. So let's start with the first chapter, the birth of Netscape. In 1989, Tim Berners-Lee created the World Wide Web, which made it possible to share information across the internet. By 1990, Tim also built the first web browser. It was originally called World Wide Web, all one word, but was later renamed to Nexus to avoid confusion between the browser and the web itself. However, this browser only worked on high-end workstations, so it wasn't something everyone could use. A few years later, in 1993, more browsers began to appear. Among them, one stood out, a browser called Mosaic, developed at the National Center for Supercomputing Applications at the University of Illinois. Mosaic was a game changer. It was easy to use, worked on multiple platforms, and made the web feel more accessible. By 1994, it had become the leading web browser. Now here's where things get interesting. One of the Mosaic's co-creators was a student named Mark Andreessen. After graduating from the University of Illinois, he met with Jim Clark, a tech entrepreneur. Together, they started working on a new web browser. They called it Mosaic Netscape. But the folks at the University of Illinois weren't too happy with the name since it used Mosaic, so to avoid legal issues, the browser was renamed to Netscape Navigator. Jumping to the next chapter, the rise of Netscape. In 1994, Netscape launched its first version, Netscape Navigator 1.0, and it took off immediately. Within just 4 months, it captured 75% of the browser market, making it the most popular way to access the web at the time. One of the key reasons for its success was a feature called on-the-fly page loading. Before this, browsers would show a blank screen until every single graphic on the page was loaded. That meant waiting and staring at nothing. But with Netscape's on-the-fly page loading, the text appeared almost instantly while the images loaded in the background. This made browsing feel faster and smoother, which was a big improvement for users. As Netscape released new versions, it introduced features that shaped the early web, and some even laid the foundation for future standards. For example, JavaScript, built in just 10 days by Brendan Eich, made websites interactive and dynamic. Cookies, which allowed sites to remember preferences like logins or settings. Frames, which let parts of the page load and scroll separately. While they are mostly outdated today, at that time this was a big step towards richer web layouts. By the late 90s, Netscape was everywhere. Up until 1998, it remained the most used web browser in the world. Moving on to chapter 3, the browser wars begin. By the mid-90s, Netscape was ruling the web. But then, Microsoft entered the scene. In 1995, Microsoft launched Internet Explorer 1.2. At first, it didn't pose much of a threat. Early versions of IE were clunky and lacked many features that made Netscape great. But Microsoft didn't stop there. With each new version, Internet Explorer got better. By the time IE 3 came out, it had started to catch up. And with IE 5, Microsoft finally delivered a polished, stable browser, one that surpassed Netscape in market share. But what caused such a big shift in browser power? There were several reasons, but here are two that played a massive role. Netscape was free for individual users, but businesses had to pay for a license. That's how Netscape made money. Microsoft, on the other hand, had a steady stream of income from Windows sales, so they could afford to give Internet Explorer for free. Even more importantly, Internet Explorer came pre-installed on every Windows computer. At the time, Windows was running on over 95% of the desktops, so Microsoft instantly had a massive user base. Netscape, by contrast, had to be manually downloaded and installed. In the long run, these differences made it hard for Netscape to keep up. Chapter 4: The Fall of Netscape. After its early success, Netscape began to stumble. With Netscape 3, the company introduced two versions, a standard edition and a gold edition, which bundled extras like email, a newsreader, and a web editor. But all these additions made the browser slower and more crash-prone. Then came Netscape 4, and the gold edition was rebranded as Communicator. The new name confused users, and the extra tools made the software feel bloated. Meanwhile, the web was evolving fast. Websites were becoming more complex, filled with images, JavaScript, and dynamic layouts. Internet Explorer handled it better. Netscape, on the other hand, struggled to keep up. Realizing it was falling behind, Netscape decided to open source its browser code, launching a project called Mozilla, which was also the original codename for Netscape Navigator. The name Mozilla came from combining Mosaic and Godzilla, symbolizing the NCSA Mosaic killer. With Netscape falling behind, it was eventually acquired by AOL. At the time, Netscape had been working on version 5, but it was completely scraped in favor of building a new browser from scratch with Mozilla's help. This led to Netscape 6, based on early Mozilla builds. But it launched with bugs, performance issues, and general disappointment. Netscape released versions 7, 8, and 9, but none of them were able to win users back. By 2008, Netscape's journey officially came to an end, and the support for the browser was finally discontinued. Chapter 5: The Rebirth as Firefox. While all this was happening and Netscape's influence was fading, Mozilla had already started building a better browser. In 2002, they released the first version of a cross-platform browser, praised for its focus on privacy, a cleaner interface, and strong support for web standards. Even though developers appreciated it, the full Internet Suite model didn't catch on with regular users. So, Mozilla shifted focus to building a dedicated web browser. They initially called it Phoenix, named after the mythical bird that rose from the ashes of its dead predecessor, symbolizing the browser's rise from the ashes of Netscape. But due to trademark issues, the name changed, first to Firebird and then finally to Firefox. Firefox 1.0 marked Mozilla's move towards a standalone browser with features like tabbed browsing, pop-up blocking, and a customizable interface. Firefox 1.5 and then Firefox 2 followed, introducing features like inline spell check and the ability to restore recently closed tabs. The browser kept evolving, version 3, then 3.5, and by the end of 2009, Firefox 3.5 overtook Internet Explorer 7 in the market share, although Internet Explorer overall was still in the lead. Firefox held its position as the second most used browser until 2011 when Google Chrome surpassed it. As of early 2025, Firefox is the fourth most used desktop browser. Concluding with the last chapter, the legacy of Netscape. Even though Netscape is no longer around, its influence still runs deep through the modern web. It introduced concepts that became foundational, like JavaScript and cookies, and helped shape how we interact with websites today. It also popularized view source. While the feature still exists, the code we see now is often minified or transformed, but back then it showed the raw HTML. turning the web into a learning platform for anyone curious enough to peek behind the curtain. Netscape's impact also shaped modern web standards. In 2004, Mozilla and Opera came together to form a working group focused on evolving HTML and related technologies while keeping the web open and backwards compatible. Then there's MDN WebDocs, the most trusted resource for web developers around the world. And finally, there's Rust, a modern programming language that started as a personal project by a developer at Mozilla Research. So while Netscape may have lost the browser war, its legacy still lives on in the tools we use, the standards we follow, and the technologies we build on every day. The next time you write JavaScript, look something up on MDN or use an HTML5 feature, remember, it all started with a small team trying to make the web just a little more interactive. You can also check out my blog post on this topic at netscape-navigator.vercel.app. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new today. See you soon in the next video. Bye.